when I was doing the internal marketing, so the free marketing, that allowed me to start progressing as an Invisalign provider. So the volume of cases I was doing was growing, where I then became a preferred provider, then a premium provider. And then when we started paying for marketing, that's what then started to take me towards Elite.
Arnold, thank you very much for agreeing to doing this interview with myself. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's early morning, but I'm fine.
Good. That's great. And for Arnold, for those people that may not know you, if you just kind of introduce yourself, or tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a dentist in Preston, Lancashire, and I qualified in 2013. Qualified in 2017 as a dentist. So I've been a dentist for 5 years now. And I'm a general dentist, associate dentist, and in the current process of transitioning to private dentistry.
Brilliant. If you just give us a little bit about your background, where were you born? How was your upbringing like?
Yes, I was born in Zimbabwe in 91, 90s baby. And, things weren't going so well in Zimbabwe. So my family wanted a better life, more opportunities. So my parents moved to England, and me and my brothers followed shortly after. So I came to England in 1999. We lived in a place called Aylesbury in Buckinghamshire. I then moved with the family to Derby in the East Midlands, and decided to go to university in Leicester. Spent 3 years there, and then I went to the University of Central Lancashire to complete my dental degree.
Good. So why dentistry? You invested so many years into it. Why did you choose dentistry?
Yeah, so for me, dentistry appealed because there's a big healthcare component. My family's in healthcare, and I get to really engage with people every single day. And I'm also interested in business, and dentistry is one of those professions which you can have all of those things, business, contact with people, as well as providing healthcare. So that's why it was dentistry for me.
Brilliant. So I'm just going to go into the heat of it, because obviously you're an Invisalign Elite-Apex provider. And before we even go into how that came about and what you did and that sort of thing, I know you're a very driven person, you're a very ambitious person. So why not just, do your normal day-to-day job, get paid at the end of the month, go home? Why have you chosen this route of just trying to almost being the best that you can be, so to say?
Yes, I think it's down to realizing the opportunity. The whole purpose of coming to England was to have opportunity that we can realize our full potential. So for me, it's about really seeing how much I can give out to the world. I like the saying that, I want to die empty. That everything I've got, I want to have put it out there, to impact the world. So yeah, I want to make sure I'm giving everything my all. So that probably goes towards that.
Brilliant. And so what were you thinking in terms of when you've got into dentistry? You've not actually been in dentistry for a very, very long time. When did you choose what route you wanted to go down within dentistry?
Yeah, so I'm essentially a baby dentist. 5 years? That's nothing. There's people that have been doing this for 40, 50 years. But for me, the route I took has been an ortho-restorative route. So combining orthodontic treatments, primarily through Invisalign, and then restorative edge bonding or composite veneers, composite bonding, to produce smart makeovers for my patients. So how that started was in my foundation year. My supervisor, my trainer, he used Invisalign in adult orthodontics. and I got interested by that. I'd never really seen adult orthodontics at play before. In dental school, you see orthodontics for children, and I really didn't like or enjoy orthodontics at uni. But when I saw clear aligners being used during my foundation year, that was my light bulb moment where I was like, this is what I want to be doing. Because it combined technology, you're able to see this simulation of what the smile could look like afterwards. It just fit, modern day dentistry, and it was something I wanted to be a part of. So that's what sparked me taking this direction of using clear aligners in smile makeovers.
Good. So you've decided that's what you wanted to do. Obviously, you finished your dental degree, you've done your foundation year. So how did you start to now carve out that little space for yourself when it came to the clear aligners?
Yeah, so initially it wasn't about carving out a space for myself. It was just about getting more and more experience, more cases, and learning more. So the great thing about starting to learn as a foundation dentist was I didn't have the time pressures of I've got to meet targets, I've got to make a certain amount of money to meet bills, mortgage. I had none of those pressures. So I was able to really take on cases under the supervision of my supervisor and really get to learn how aligners work and how I approach patients and treating them with aligners, suitable cases, that sort of thing. So for me, at first, it was just, I really want to be involved in this area of dentistry. But first, I want to take the time to learn how this all works properly. And then I got to a point where I was becoming more confident and I wanted to take on even more cases so that I could put my new learnings to work. So that then started to lead me towards, okay, how can I raise an awareness so that people can know that I provide aligners? Yeah, that's what got me started on wanting to find ways to find more cases to treat.
Okay, so obviously you now know you need more cases, and then you've learned the craft, which is an extremely important part of it, because people sometimes think you just get started, it's all about getting patients in, but also you've learned your craft, you've got a better idea, and you want to do a bit more. So what were some of the first steps that you started to take when it came to attracting patients or getting your first few patients on your own?
Yeah, so during my foundation year, I actually organized an open day. I think it was actually the first Invisalign open day at the practice I've ever done. So that was the first time I set up something to try and draw more of a crowd. It wasn't the most productive of open days, but it gave me an insight into how I could start to attract and draw more people and raise awareness, essentially, for people knowing that I am a provider of clear aligners. So following on from that, when I then finished my foundation year, I started my associate position at Penwortham Dental. I was actually given the opportunity there to work there when I'd basically 1 year experience as a foundation dentist. So it took a big leap of faith to take me on. But yes, when I was at Penwortham Dental, I then started to think of ways to start to raise the awareness for us providing clear aligners. So one of the first things that I insisted that we try was to send text messages. You have to be GDPR compliant, but send text messages to our patients to let them know that we had a Invisalign open day happening. So that was a big success because there were a lot of patients within the practice's books who wanted this treatment but just didn't know that it was provided yet. So that was one of the first times I found out that marketing can do wonders in terms of allowing you to highlight patients that actually want and need a certain treatment.
And when you did that, when you sent out that text message, did you just send it out to all the patients, or was it a select, number of patients, or how did that work?
Yeah, so I think from memory, it was probably from 20 to 50-year-olds. Actually, maybe 20 to 40, maybe 20 to 40 was the age range, and it was females. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And can I ask how many? Oh, really? Sorry, I was just going to say, can I ask how many people actually attended? Do you remember how many people attended? How many people actually went ahead and became start treatment?
I would have to look back at the
Yeah,
records, but I know we're fully booked,
yeah, yeah.
and I know that we had to fit in people during the week. Um, Actually, no, that when we did it during the week, we just did the day as the open day, but we had to fit in people on other days to really try and um, see everyone that had expressed interest. So that, I mean, some of the patients I treated from there, I've now seen for 2-year recalls, and they've actually told friends and family, and I'm treating their friends and family. So I'm still getting the benefit of that text message
Mm,
campaign that we did back then. I
mm.
think it actually cost them about 100 to 200 pounds because after a certain amount of texts, I think Dentally starts to charge you a premium rate. So we were a bit shocked by that because we thought that the text messages were free, but we got a bill for that. But obviously, with the success of the marketing, we made that back very quickly.
Brilliant. So obviously you've done this text message, you've had this first open day, which has been a huge success. What did you then go on to do after this open day?
Yeah. So other things I was doing, I started to utilize the practice space, so putting up posters, so that people that were in the building could see that we are Invisalign providers. I made a little video clip that we could put on the screen in the waiting room. So again, just raising awareness that this is a treatment that we provide. And I was just more open in terms of talking with my patients and patients who weren't really happy with the alignment of their teeth or wanted to improve the straightness of their teeth. I was open, in talking with them and just saying, does this bother you? If they said no, it doesn't bother me, we just kept it moving. If they said yes, it does bother me, I would then just present that the options available to try and address that. So I was a bit more well versed in having that sort of conversation with my patients, and I think that lends itself to my time back in my foundation practice, where I started to have those conversations with patients. So yeah.
Yeah. And so it seems like you actually were. So how did this work with the principal when you were? Was it mainly you pushing all of these ideas about whether it's the posters and all of these different things? How did that work between you and the principal and all the other dentists in the practice?
Yeah, so my principal was very laid back, very supportive. Shout out to Ahmed. But I think we all know what we need to do. It's no secret. The thing is just doing it. So I think what I was probably strong at was just being proactive and doing stuff, trying stuff. It wasn't perfect. The visuals weren't perfect. They weren't 10 out of 10s. The visuals that we put up on the screen were not amazing. I mean, even the before and afters of the cases that I had as a portfolio weren't anything to, shout about, but I was trying things, and in that trying, we started to get results. So I think we all know what we need to do, but it's just when we start to actually be active and do what we need to do that we start to see the results. So I think that was the key, the fact that I was just trying and doing things and seeing what worked.
And when it came to also talking with patients, how obviously you built that from your foundation practice and you started to do it. How did you start the conversations with the patients to say, that you think were suitable for Invisalign or whichever one you're offering them?
Yeah, so I made it a part of my examination, my checkup process. And I think there's one of the books I actually read from actually latter at my foundation practice, where it was talking about pain points, and that when something is enough of a pain point for a patient, then they'll be willing and wanting to have a treatment carried out. So for me, it was just trying to find out whether straight teeth, a smile makeover was a pain point for my patients. So during my checkup, I'm checking extraoral, intraoral, soft tissue examination, all of that, occlusion, and then I might say that there's mild overcrowding in the lowers, maybe there's spacing in the uppers, and I just ask the patient, were you aware of this? Does it bother you? They say yes, they say no, and then we just take it from there. So I think it's about not making it a big thing. It's just making it part of your checkup. I check the alignment of your teeth. And if it's something you want me to help you with, I can. If it's something that it's not impacting your oral health and it doesn't bother you, we just move on to the next thing. So I think sometimes we make a big thing out of it. It doesn't need to be a whole speech. It's just providing an option to the people that want and need that option.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, no, that's absolutely brilliant. And all these things that you've talked about, we've not even touched outside of the practice. All of these things are happening all within the practice. You're not even going anywhere. You're not spending loads of money yet. And how did you, in fact, why did you even make a transition to go from, doing stuff just within the practice and, and then looking at some of the things like social media and that sort of thing? If you just kind of talk me through that transition a little bit.
Yeah, so I had the knowledge that you could pay for marketing services. But for me, I wanted to make sure that I had exhausted everything I could for free before I started paying for help. And what I've realized in that, when you do the things that you can do for free, you start to highlight the problems with your systems. So what I mean by that is, reception may not know how to handle certain types of calls for people that want orthodontic treatment at a general dental practice. They may not know how the process works from them engaging with a potential patient to passing it on to myself. So it's just ironing out certain systems within the practice so that when you've got more people that are interested, they're not being lost because you've got an inefficient system. So I think it was a great learning curve for creating and producing a system within the practice that anybody in the practice could understand, and it would allow us to handle more cases. So yeah, I wanted to exhaust what was free before we started exploring what paid options there are out there.
Oh, brilliant. And so what kind of options did you start looking at then? Even before paid, I'm sure you still did some organic things externally as well before even paying for, these services.
Yeah, so setting up an Instagram page, a dental Instagram page, setting up the marketing material in the practice, also just talking to everybody in the practice to say that I actually offer this service. So sometimes you might be a dentist in the practice and the staff don't even know you offer a certain type of treatment. So just making people aware within the practice that I do offer certain types of treatments. Yeah, so those are the things that I was just looking into before moving on to any paid marketing.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. And obviously moving on to the paid side of things as well. So what kind of things did you explore on the paid side of things?
The first one was boosting posts on Facebook. That's something that I tried. That really didn't have any success, but it was just a learning curve of you can actually try and target people of a certain demographic. Then the text message, that was the one that really blew up and was very successful, probably the first successful one that we had. And then after that, that's when I started to become aware of there being marketers and agencies that are specific to dental practices. So that's what I then started to explore.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And even with this, again, some of the things, what kind of were you looking for when you're looking at somebody to work with as a marketer?
Yeah, so there's a few people that I spoke with. Number one, did they understand the dental industry? Do they understand how dental practice works? Do they understand the challenges that dental practices have? Were they easy to reach out to? Were they easy to communicate with? And would they ultimately produce results? So those are the things that I was thinking of, and obviously I was talking with my principal as well. I was doing some groundwork and trying to look around, and then I would collect that all up and then just present it to my principal and see what he wanted to do as well.
And what kind of results did you see from doing that paid marketing, working with the marketer?
Yeah, so when I was doing the internal marketing, so the free marketing, that allowed me to start progressing as an Invisalign provider. So the volume of cases I was doing was growing, where I then became a preferred provider, then a premium provider. And then when we started paying for marketing, that's what then started to take me towards elite and becoming an elite provider. So the volume of people that we were seeing, that definitely shot up. The volume of cases I was getting completed, that shot up as well when we added in a marketing agency to the mix as well. So it just boosted everything that we're already seeing.
Yeah, and during the time when you're working with marketing agency, what were some of the things what was your part to play? Did you have to do quite a lot? Did you have to provide a lot of content and stuff like that to obviously create adverts and everything else you needed?
So I think the content that's usually needed is involves testimonials. It involves before and after photos and shots. So these were things that I was already doing before. I was already taking videos of befores and after of patient testimonials. I was taking before and after photos already. So these were things that I was just able to hand to the marketing agency to use in the creatives. So I think that's the bulk of what I was having to provide to the marketing agency, the before and after shots and videos that I'd taken in the past.
Yeah, and talk me through your kind of content creation, because I know obviously you do post quite a lot organically as well. How did you get into a rhythm of being able to create that much content? And even with patients, did you find it quite easy to just ask and say, do a video for me? How have you kind of got into that rhythm?
So I had been doing a lot of research into how marketing works. Again, looking for freebies, free tips and advice out there. There was Ashley Latta, who had a wealth of knowledge on podcasts and YouTube. And there was Derek as well from Ignite, who was posting advice for dentists on Instagram. So I know from Derek, there was a time he posted this, I think it was a template of questions you want to ask during a video testimonial. And from reading Ashley Latta's stuff and hearing his stuff as well, knowing that word of mouth is very key. I knew that I had to be getting testimonials out there, and I had to be doing it in a way that benefited the patient or the future patient, prospective patient. So that's where I got the idea of doing the testimonials and video testimonials. And I've started to enjoy it to the point that, I want to build probably the biggest video testimonial collection in the country or the world if I can, because there's nothing like word of mouth referral where somebody has had treatment with yourself and they're telling everybody else how they found it. Nothing beats word of mouth. And I think in an online world, video testimonials are word of mouth. It's not Arnold telling you how good of a dentist he is, or how he can get you a straighter smile, a better smile. It's another patient who was in your shoes a year or so ago, telling you how they found their experience. So I think it's powerful, and I think for me, I just need to focus on providing quality treatment and then capturing that experience through video testimonials, and that I believe will allow me to get to treat more patients that are my type of patients. So you attract who you treat. So the patients that have a good experience with myself, if they're sharing their experiences through video testimonials, that will just only attract more similar types of patients, and it's a win-win. Those type of patients will enjoy working with me. I'll enjoy working with them, and we are all happy. Dentistry is stressful enough as it is, so why not try and take some of that stress out by treating patients who are going to be happy to have you treat them? So that's what really makes me passionate about producing content. And people might think it's overkill, but I think there's nothing like having a library of video testimonials that you can keep wherever you go. If you go to a different country, you can still keep those video testimonials and use those wherever you are.
Yeah, good. And obviously some people can be a bit intimidated by asking patients for video testimonials. What have you found? Do you find that a lot of people say yes, a lot of your patients say yes to video testimonials when you ask them?
Yeah, so it's very mixed. It all depends on the type of person, the type of patient that you're treating. Some of my patients are very explicit in that they don't want to be in front of a camera, not even for photos. So they might just be happy with showing their teeth before and afters, nothing more. But there are some patients who will jump at the thought of getting to talk about their experience. We live in a world where people are comfortable taking selfies and doing Instagram stories where you're looking at their face. So there are a large proportion of patients who are happy to get in front of a camera and talk about their experience. And it's just asking. You've been treating this patient for 4, 5, 6 months, however long. You get to build a rapport with them, so it's not an awkward thing. So after when we're getting to the end, I just say to my patients, we've had a fantastic result, and there are many people in your position who are in your position when you were still thinking about having treatment, and they would benefit from hearing about your experience. Are you happy to do a video testimonial? And they'll either say yes or no. And again, it's not a big thing. It's just part of our conversation. And the patients that do say yes, then we organize a day as we're about to finish their treatment to do the video testimonial. And that also gives them preparation. Some like to know so they can do their makeup and their hair. Some will say no, they're not comfortable doing a video testimonial, but they'll happily leave a Google review. So I've had some patients who video testimonial is not for them, but they'll do a Google review for me. So, I send them a link and they'll do a Google review for me. So, this is the thing of don't treat strangers. Get to know your patients, and it won't be awkward asking for reviews or video testimonials.
Yeah, brilliant. And when it comes to recommendations, do you feel like, have you had to ask a lot of your patients to recommend people? Have they just done it themselves? How's that worked?
I don't think I've ever asked a patient to recommend people to me. I want recommendations to be just an overflow of their great experience with myself. So my focus is to give them an excellent experience. Then them recommending me, referring other people to me just becomes a natural overflow of the experience they had with me. Even video testimonials or Google reviews, I don't tell them what to say. I just say, other people are going to want to know how your experience went, and just let them know in the video or in the Google review. So it's not about coercing or manipulating things. It's just focus on giving people an excellent service, and then give them the opportunity to share with others how their experience was.
Brilliant, brilliant. And you mentioned on a few times, you mentioned, sorry, looking at time, we're nearly coming to the end, but you mentioned systems a few times. So how have you kind of arranged your systems to make it so that you've been able to achieve the results that you have?
Yeah, so giving away the secrets. No, but it's been a work in progress for years. So what I'll tell you a snapshot of my system now, where I am at the moment. So where I am at the moment, patients will be interested. They'll contact me primarily through Instagram, maybe Facebook sometimes. So I will then send them. So they've known about the work that I do from my portfolio, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, from the video testimonials and the reviews. So these patients or prospective patients already have a feel of how I am as a clinician. So there's already that rapport building that's happened in the background before we've even spoken or met in person. That's important because I do think it's important that you don't treat strangers. You get to know people before you start treatment. So they contact me and I send them a link which takes them to a job form. And basically what that is, it's templates with a few questions. They answer those questions. They get to find out the price ranges for different types of treatment. They get to take photos, which they upload. And those photos give me an idea of how their occlusion, how their teeth currently are. Certain questions like, when was the last time you were seen by a dentist, and that sort of thing. And then at the end, they can then choose to book a video consultation with myself. So one day a week, I take time out of the clinic, and from this room, I'm doing video consultations. And again, that's me getting to know these people and getting to talk them through the process of treatment with myself. If they're interested in a smile makeover, maybe alignment, and then composite bonding, I take them through a little 4-minute presentation, 5-minute presentation using Canva, share screen on my laptop, and I talk them through that. I talk them through the commitment of the treatment process. If finance is something they want to discuss, we talk about that. I'm very open with that, to the point that if you then want to come into the clinic to start the process, you already know roughly how much things are. We're not really discussing cost when you come to the clinic because we've already covered that in our video consultation. I'm taking the records, and if they're suitable, we're starting treatment and taking it from there. So, that's just a snapshot of how things work in terms of patients coming through. Reception is involved in that. So after my consultation, if the patient wants to come into clinic, I let reception know. Reception contact that patient. They're slotted into the books, and I'm probably missing out a lot of different things because it's just automatic now. But there's a whole system that's been refined over the years that works for us, and that just allows us to see more patients and to give the patients a great experience. I'd say even from using like WhatsApp Business, where patients can contact you when they're ready to. Just small things like that, which make all the difference. Again, things that we've refined over the years, which make all the difference.
Yeah. When you talk about everything, you start to see that, people sometimes think you do this one thing and you become an elite provider, Invisalign provider, and you start to see from listening to you that, there's a number of different things that you're doing to get to the place, that you're at. No, that's brilliant. And looking at time, we need to wrap it up. Got loads of other questions, but we need to do this again. What would you say to yourself if you had to go back to the you before you were at this place, when you just finished your foundation year? What would you say to yourself?
What I say to myself, I'd probably say to myself, don't try to be like others. Press in to being your authentic self, because there's never going to be a better person than you at being yourself. And when I look back at what's worked for me, it's when I've done things that are authentic to me. So like I said at the very beginning, I like the fact that with dentistry, you get to build a rapport with people, you get to connect with people. And I think that's one of the things I'm stronger at. So when I say I do video consultation, it's no surprise that for some people it might not be the best use of their time, but for me, it allows me to get that deeper connection with my future patients. And they're able to get to know me better before we even start carrying out any treatment in the clinic. And I think that's what's allowed me to attract my tribe in terms of patients who want to have treatment from me. Whereas for you as a dentist, that might not be authentic to you in that you don't connect with people like that. Maybe for you, you're the artist. You're the dentist that uses a paintbrush to layer on composites, and you putting out your fantastic work out there will do all the talking and attract the type of patient that you're going to enjoy treating. So, some of the things I've talked about are because I've pressed into my authentic self and I found what works for me. So somebody else trying to copy exactly what I do, it might not work as well for them, but it's about being self-aware, knowing what works for you, and then being prepared to just start, even though it's not perfect, and then making it perfect as you go along. And it's a much more enjoyable process that way. You're not thinking about, am I as good as the next dentist? I'm not where they are. It's just about focusing on developing you and providing the best you can for your patients. So I'd say to younger Arnold, press into your authentic self even more.
Brilliant. No, that's, I couldn't have said it better myself. That was absolutely amazing. Arnold, there's loads of other questions I could ask, because obviously even I feel like we've only just kind of touched on a very, very complicated, intricate, not complicated, but a very intricate system that, like you said, you've worked out over time. If people wanted to find you, Arnold, how can they find you? What's the easiest way?
Yeah, so Lancashire Smiles, and that's on Instagram, that's on Facebook as well. But yeah, I'd say Lancashire Smiles on Instagram. That's the easiest way to get in touch.
Brilliant. No, thank you very much for doing this, Arnold. Hopefully we can do it sometime soon again.
Yeah, no, thank you. Enjoy doing it.